Hey guys, Duke here, and I want to talk to you today all about the Fire Panda. So he's the new fusion monster. I made him here, and mine is, as you can see, level 40 and awakened. I have him runed HP, defense, defense, violent nemesis, and in particular that's for raid 5 frontline. If you take a look at his skills, I only have one Devilmon in him so far. He actually takes quite a few, and it went to his first skill, unfortunately, so it would have been nicer if it went to the second or third, but that's alright. So, as you can see from his first skill, he has a defense break 30%. It's a 2-round defense break, and he hits 3 times, so he has 3 chances to apply it. Once it's skilled up, it's actually a 50% rate, so that's definitely a lot better. His second skill here actually cleanses all the harmful effects from himself, and it counterattacks 100% for 2 turns when he's attacked, and it recovers 15% of the HP of all allies for the next couple turns. And again, this is a 5-round cooldown, but with skill ups, it would be only 3 rounds, which is really not bad. Alright, his fourth skill, it's going to attack the enemy 4 times. Each strike has a 50% chance of applying a harmful effect. The ones I've noticed so far have been Attack Break, Slow, Glancing, and Heal Block. The damage here is proportionate to defense as well as the enemy's max HP. To be honest, I haven't seen huge damage out of this skill yet, but it does hit 4 times, which is kind of nice for Necro. And it has a potential to put on 4 debuffs, which is nice for raid. So again, it's a 5-round cooldown, but it's only 3 rounds with max skills, which is a pretty big difference. You'll notice also that the effect rate here goes up from 50% to 80% with max skills. So that really is a pretty big difference. Finally, we have this 33% defense universal leader skill. This is actually the reason I fused him. I just wanted to have the option for a defense lead in R5. Because the more defense leads you have, the more people you can raid with. It's just the more leader skills you have, the more people you can raid with. So, for example, I could use Tisarian here for resistance, and now I have my Panda for defense. So now, why don't we take a look at the Panda actually in action? So I tried him out in a couple different locations. One was Necro B10, and as you can see here, I modified my typical team just a little bit. So normally I would have another Lucian in place of the Fire Panda, but this team still works. The Fire Panda, I tried it once. He was able to actually solo heal Necro B10 even without max skills, but it wasn't consistent. I would get failures once in a while. So just to be safe, I threw Colleen back in there, and she can solo heal no problem. So again, my typical speed team would be Lucian, Colleen, Adrian, and Rigel. And Lucians are basically there to clear the trash pretty quickly. And Colleen, of course, is the healer. She also has multi-hits, and her debuffs are really helpful. And Rigel is basically there for slow plus big damage. He's usually the one that's stolen, and so he ends up getting taken out by the Lucians pretty quickly once he's stolen, because he does a lot of damage. And then Adrian is mostly there for his buff, although his other debuffs are nice, the dots and heal block as well. I got a lot of heal block in my typical team. Now, like I said, I threw in the Panda just to test it, and you can see how he fares in the boss. So why is the Panda good for Necro in general? His first skill hits 3 times. His third skill hits 4 times, so always multi-hit. And then his second skill makes him counterattack 100% of the time. So every time he's attacked, then he'll go back and hit the boss 3 times, which takes the shield almost down by half already. So he's a good mob for Necro. The thing is, his damage is not huge. The defense break is nice, the debuffs are nice, the little heal is nice, but he's probably not going to be used in the fastest Necro speed teams. So I would say he's a pretty good sort of end game mob, not so much, but maybe late game, mid to late game Necro, he would be good. But like I said, for the really fastest speed teams out there, he's not that fast. So I'm sure you could find faster, like, Double Rauk or, Ciara, etc. But anyway, perfectly serviceable. He's nice for a safe and slow run like this one. So you'll see here at the end of the run, my typical run time is around 1.5 minutes. This was about 2.5 minutes, so it added a minute to the run time. Not terrible. Okay, I also threw him in here in the front line of my R5 team. I'm just testing them out, brought a couple of friends. Now these two friends have very high damage teams, by the way. I brought them intentionally just so in case anything went wrong, they could really carry the damage, because I didn't know how my damage would be without my typical team. But my team comp right now, I have Diaz up front along with my Fire Panda and Delphoy. In the back I got Hua and Colleen for primary healer, and then I got Perna there. Now I usually would run another healer, but I have the Fire Panda plus Perna, they put them together and it's basically like one full healer in a way, like somebody like Chaucer or something. So as you can see here, the skills he has are fairly useful in that counterattack is nice, that he can counter with a defense break. The heal is a little bit useful, although it can be purged by the boss. It's still nice to have that ticking heal each turn. His debuffs are really nice, especially once that skill is maxed. He's going to be applying multiple debuffs every 3 rounds, and those debuffs last 2 rounds. And again, debuffs are really important for raiding. So that's one thing that's pretty nice about the Panda, but he's mostly, again, he's a safe mob. You probably won't find him in your absolute fastest R5 speed teams, but he's a nice late game, R5 kind of mob. So he's, as you can see, he's doing fine here. Overall, he doesn't have any issues really surviving. I could probably have better runes on him. I just kind of threw on some leftovers, but let's talk about the reasoning behind the runes, by the way. So normally, Violent Revenge is sort of default for Necro. In this situation, I used Violent Nemesis, and that's because he already has a 100% counter skill. So, and that lasts for 2 rounds. So for a good bit of the time, the counter, 15% counter chance is kind of wasted. And so it's better to have Nemesis, which is guaranteed to proc every time he takes damage. He'll take a lot of damage here in the front row, as well as in Necro, he'll take some decent damage. And that'll get him sooner, to his next attack, in which he could maybe put the counter up again or attack again and put up some debuffs, etc. So that's why I went with Violent Nemesis. I think that would shine, especially once he has max skills. So that's kind of the rationale. But again, this is my primary use for him. It actually came in handy here because Tish Mittens had the resist skill up and Jake has the speed skill up. So I used the defense leader skill. Now, before I fused Panda, the only defense universal leader I had was Arnold. So the Panda is definitely a big upgrade from Arnold, who's really fallen out of the meta. Although, I used to have double Arnold. I still got it in storage somewhere. But anyway, as you can see here, again, when you look when the Panda attacks, the damage really isn't that high. I'm sure you might be able to bump it up if you're Rune for that specifically, with crit damage, crit rate, a little bit of defense. But he's not going to be used as like a huge nuker. His primary use, I think, would be for that leader skill in raids, as well as for maybe a safe team as far as Necro goes. Could he be used as a booster? Sorry, not a booster, a bruiser? Yeah, I think he could. But there we go. He could be used as a bruiser in PvP, maybe for Guild Wars. But again, like I said, his damage isn't really that high. His heal isn't really that big. So I could see him maybe with some use there, but probably not. Also, defense-based mobs tend to just be taken out by ignored defense mobs pretty quickly. So who knows? We'll see how the meta adapts to having him. He's pretty new. Anyway, I hope you found this useful. If you did, feel free to like it and subscribe to keep them coming. Thanks all.